All right, I am starting this recording before I can stop myself. Hello. That sounds so ominous. That's not. Anywho, uh, this is not what I thought I was going to be doing today. So if you saw, I posted a written tarot reading. Elizabeth, Miss Faye, what you doing? Please leave that alone. Thank you. Um, girl. Anywho, I posted a tarot reading written earlier today, and I was literally just lying in bed thinking, like, hey, you know what? Maybe at some point in time, today or tomorrow, I'm going to post an actual video of me doing an actual live tarot reading. And I heard Spirit say now. Like, I need y'all to understand, I was planning to take a shower. I'm a little bit sweaty. I'm a little bit tired. This is not at all what I had planned for today, but here we are. Uh, because someone has a message, and maybe that someone is me, because I don't know. The message from earlier today very, very much felt like it was with me in mind, right? But I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. I'm getting started with the illustrated herbiary. I've literally never done this. I'm actually posting this like as a video. This isn't even going to be a live stream. This is very much out of my comfort zone, and I've been hearing a lot of messages about needing to get out of my comfort zone. So here we are. But the message that I heard was I was supposed to get started about like 6 minutes before I actually did. But I'm like, hey, let me like clean up my room. Let me go like wash my hands, freshen up, whatever. Like try to get in the mindset. And I heard clear as day, the longer you wait, the longer it's gonna take. So I don't know who else that's for. Probably at the very least for me, but I get the feeling that it's not just for me. So that one flew out. Let's see what we got. So we have Remembrance Rosemary. So I'm actually let me figure out how to. There we go. I'm literally just using a webcam. We're just rolling with it. This was not part of the plan. I'm actually just gonna go ahead and straight read this from the book. I'm hearing initially someone else, and I'm saying someone else because this is a gift that I have. This gift I'm leaning into. Someone has the gift of memory. Someone has the gift of memory. Someone remembers things that they quote unquote shouldn't. And I just want to say there's truth to that. I'm specifically saying there's truth to that. I'm not saying it's the truth. There's a difference there. There's an important difference there. Something that I've learned with my own gift is I don't want to get in. I don't want to tell this story yet. I'm not at a place where it feels right to tell that story. But I myself had this memory, and it was a really like gruesome, like awful memory from my childhood, which, childhood trauma, it is what it is. But this memory was in particular, I'm like, that doesn't feel right. Is that actually what happened? And this memory plagued me so much that it actually got me to request a copy of my medical records from when I was a child. I was hospitalized when I was 6 for anxiety, PTSD, agoraphobia, all that stuff, right? And there was actually explicit confirmation in those records that the thing I remembered did in fact happen, but it didn't happen in the way I remembered it. So essentially, I took the situation and somehow in my memory encoded it like in code essentially. So like I'm trying to think. I'm gonna use a really simple example, but like maybe you have a memory of a really really big storm that came through and completely like took away everything you had, and you're like, wait a minute, when did a storm that big happen? Like, I feel like that would have been like a record of that. Maybe, maybe I'm tripping, right? Maybe that's not real. And then you go back and you find it's like, oh no, but there was a domestic violence situation. Trigger warning. Sorry about that. I'm not sorry, but sorry for no. Anywho, um, and so your brain encoded it as a storm, and the storm itself didn't happen, but a metaphorical storm did in fact come through and change your life. So I'm already hearing something about memory and the nature of memory and how they're not necessarily like I hear a lot about like memories aren't trustworthy, and that's true when it comes to like a court of law, 456 on my timer as I'm saying that, but it's not necessarily true in terms of what the memory means. And so I just want to encourage you to trust your memory, trust your recollection. Um, this is starts on page 156, so I'm already thinking like June 15th, 6:15. Maybe the time 156 is important to you. Maybe that's someone's birth time. Anywho, I'm actually just going to go ahead and straight read from the book. This is still somewhat of an unfamiliar deck to me, and I think that the way that it's written is beautiful. So I'm literally just going to read. Also, you could know someone who's named Rosemary or Rose or Mary. Those names coming through. I'm also hearing variants like Rosa, Marie, Marie Antoinette, Paris. Just riffing. Anywho, remembrance. Rosemary. Rosmarinus officinalis. Rosemary is the smell of déjà vu and the afterbreath of nostalgia. Her gift is the faint scent that teases and vanishes, leaving you longing for something you can't quite name, with memories that crest and crash, pulling you grasping into their undertow. In Victorian times, Rosemary was said to say, "Remember me." This is but a small part of her magic. Rosemary can ease remembrance, softening sharp edges, or she can dredge the distant past, pulling on your DNA to bring forward the longings of lineage. Crush the leaves, hold them to your nose. The past is encoded into our cellular memory. Rosemary whispers, sink into the knowledge that lives in your bones. Let memory rise up from the body of your being. Rosemary's magic lies in her scent and the volatile oil hidden in her leaves. Science has affirmed that rosemary's essential oil enhances memory. Here's how it works. When you inhale rosemary, her vaporous oils cross through the mucous membrane into your nose and enter your bloodstream. Recall is significantly improved with rosemary flowing in your veins. You can get a good whiff of rosemary by crushing fresh leaves between your fingers or by rubbing a drop of rosemary essential oil between your palms. Then hold your hand over your nose and inhale for a few minutes. Remember how you feel. There's also an exercise about remembering your lineage and connecting to your ancestral past through free writing. I'm not going to read that section for whatever reason. I'm being led to skip that section, but look into writing as a way of channeling and processing memories. Rosemary whispers the memories of this lifetime, but she also reminds us of the kitchens of generations past and the scent of camphor mixing with sea air. Our DNA has traveled through millennia. When we think of memory, we focus on the people we ourselves have known: grandparents, great aunts, cousins twice removed. Our thoughts tend to be based on personalities, experiences, likes, or dislikes. Rosemary asks us to travel beyond those associations, to feel for the memory that lives in the twisting threads of our chromosomes. This is what it means to honor our ancestors and to be rooted in our own history. What if your bones are ancient bedrock and your laugh the wild wind? What if you are not only an individual but the present incarnation in a long lineage? Remember, and it ends with this quote from Animal Dreams by Barbara Kingsolver: memory is a complicated thing, a relative to truth but not its twin. Honestly, hits the nail on the head in terms of what I was saying about my own experiences with memory. I also want to say here, and this is one of those like, I hesitate to get too woo in conversations about spirituality because I really do like focusing on like the practical and the grounded, which the people who know me are probably laughing at me because they're like, nah, you're woo as fuck, my friend. Woo as heck, my friend. Um, but they don't know how deep the woo goes for me. Like I really skate on the surface level for a lot of the people in my life because if I really went there, I'd lose people, and like a whole thing for me is not losing people. That said, this might be the most woo thing I say in this, but someone else needs to hear it. Some of your memories are not your own. Some of you have the ability to recall memories of your ancestors, of past lives, etc. Especially when we're children, the veil is thinnest when we are at our youngest and at our oldest. And so I firmly believe that someone else out there has the experience of remembering memories that aren't their own. Keeping in mind that, especially for those of us with trauma, dissociative amnesia, etc., please remember that your brain is going to encode memories in the way that it deems necessary to keep you safe. So this isn't necessarily me saying like, hey, you should go digging, you should go I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm finding myself really hedging my words here. There's a weird tension where it's like I know all too well how tempting it can be to try to like go after that, to try to pursue those sorts of things. And so I'm hedging against like recommending it, but also knowing that some people are also doing the deep dives. And so here we are. Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and get into tarot. We are using today the Black Tarot by Nyasha Williams. Um, Obviously, you do not have to be Black or a person of African descent to participate in these readings, but I am. And so, as I'm checking, this is the first tarot deck I think I purchased for myself. My other tarot decks were gifted to me and unfortunately destroyed in a whole situation in terms of moving and using a storage unit. And rats got in it. Rats could be significant to you. Year of the Rat. I'm actually Year of the Rat, 96. One of the. I'm the youngest of the millennial cohort, though I definitely identify more with Gen Z. That one definitely one of. Ooh, okay. Nine of Wands in reverse. It's actually really dark. Let me see if I can get the angle on that one. Immediately, so I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert at tarot reading just yet. I am going to read from the book. I'm going to be reading from the book a lot. But immediately, I'm getting end of an era. I'm getting cycles closing, cycles breaking. I see here people protesting. They got their fists up, they're marching. Very much feels like a shift in the tides. For me, also feels emblematic of conflict. I'm already seeing, I'm getting words like defensiveness, caring too much, all things associated with later numbers in the sequence of wands. But I'm going to go ahead, read directly from the book. Because, I'm someone who initially I didn't want anytime I think about doing tarot readings, my first thought is no, I actually, don't know enough. I don't have the cards memorized. And then it's like, okay, but if you're being called to do the thing, there's probably a reason, right? Anywho, uh, yeah. Nine individuals hold up the power fist as united front. The Nine of Wands warns of the other side of consistent action, exhaustion, and burnout. This card asks three things of you: defend yourself, persevere, and exhibit stamina. Whether you're fighting for your rights or exercising your voice, prepare for moments of discouragement, especially when the struggle has been ongoing. This, in my opinion, ties directly into the reading that I did via writing. You can go ahead and check that out in the community post, but talking about the time ahead potentially being a time period of conflict, but that conflict has the potential to refine you, like coal becomes diamond under lots and lots of pressure, right? And so I'm seeing, or immediately I'm getting this vision of the first Black Panther movie, may Chadwick Boseman rest in peace, where T'Challa is drained of his strength, of his vitality, and forced to fight 1331 on the timer as I'm speaking this, so looking at like a mirror image type dealio. But he's stripped of his strength and vitality, and he's asked to defend his title, to defend his honor, to defend his role as king, which, mind you, was something that was given to him. And so I see in that, I'm thinking, you know, a title that's given to you, you might assume, well, yeah, I have this title, but like I didn't earn it or whatever. But like, because he faced opposition in that situation, because someone said, actually, I'm coming for your crown, that gave him the opportunity he needed to say, no, I am the king. I remember who I am. I'm not gonna lie, not regularly, but every now and then when I'm feeling down on myself, I'll hear Queen Ramon to shout, remember who you are. Remember who you are. In the midst of conflict, in the midst of turmoil, in the midst of anything and everything that might, get you off your game, threaten to knock you off your throne, remember who you are, remember who you come from. Like, you as much as the phrase has been mean, you didn't just fall out of a coconut tree. You know what I mean? Um, This card is designed not to give up. Enact regular spiritual protection for you, yours, and your spaces. Listen to your needs and accommodate yourself accordingly. The Nine of Wands indicates a time to review and acknowledge your achievements and successes. Do not doubt yourself. Continue to fight the noble fight. Get in good trouble. Now, this is in the reverse. And the reverse reading, it talks about exhaustion from drama and injustice, isolation, toxic relationships, narrow mindedness. Now is a time for rest. I'm hearing that loud and clear. I'm hearing so this is a partial quote. I'm pretty sure this is from Kino Tarot. I sometimes confuse Kino and Aso. I love them both. I watch them both often, but I'm pretty sure this is a Kino quote where she was talking about how if you're trying to change your clothes, right? If you're trying to go through this process of transformation, 1555 as I'm saying this, on my clock. Um, it's easier to do so if you are in your room, sitting still, changing your clothes, as opposed to running down the street trying to change, right? And so that's kind of what I'm getting here. I think a lot of us are going through a massive upgrade. I very much feel a massive, massive, massive upgrade in this collective, especially in the midst of. We had the Lionsgate portal. We had Eclipse number 1. We're coming up on Eclipse number 2. Like we are into the thick of it. Into the thick. I'm sure you've all heard the TikTok remake of "I'm effing sick of it," which valid. We going through it. Um, but we are being refined to come out on the other side. It reminds me I went to seminary, right? And there's a Bible verse, trigger warning, because I know that Christianity, the amount of religious trauma that has come from this one religion is kind of unreal. Not to say that religious trauma only comes from Christianity, but that's my context. I know all too well. And so when I talk about the Bible, it is me talking about it as, ancestral wisdom that has been passed down throughout the years with the full knowledge that our ancestors did some pretty horrendous, heinous things that we should disregard while also not also throwing out, the insights that they had, not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. But there is a verse from the Catholic Bible that isn't even in like the main canonical Bible that most Protestants have. I can't remember the book of the Bible. If anyone knows, if anyone happened to grow up Catholic, please let me know down in the comments. I could probably look it up, but I'm not going to do that. But it talks about how, I think if I remember correctly, it's a prayer about wanting to be refined and talking about how I think it's silver passes through the flames in order to be refined of all of its impurities. And it's a painful process. It is a stressful process. It's rough, but on the other end of it, you know that you're going to be the best version of yourself you can possibly be. Which I love that analogy. I also obviously love the analogy of the caterpillar turning into goop before it becomes a butterfly. But I really like. There's something about like the visceral imagery of fire, especially in light of someone who like very much grew up, fearing hellfire and all of that. I'm gonna call it nonsense, not to be disrespectful towards Christians, but because that's how I feel. I think it is a fear tactic, a very, very effective fear tactic. And while I think that Christianity is a beautiful religion, I think it's most beautiful when it is powered by love, joy, peace, patience. Shout out Paul. I'm not a big fan of him, but he cooked in that book. As opposed to fear, dread, etc. 1919, as I'm saying this. Yeah, yeah. Anywho, we gonna keep it going. We gonna keep it moving. I feel like we are not done with tarot. I think we might be done with the plant oracle. I've got 3 decks that have messages. Oh, that was a lot of cards. Am I taking? Yeah, I'm taking all of them. Okay, so I feel myself being challenged not to look at the book for these, which that'll be a test for me, because I still consider myself a baby reader. Have I been reading since undergrad? Yes. Do I have my master's degree now? Yes. Do I still feel like a baby? Yes. But anywho, we've got the Ten of Wands. Someone is carrying too much. Someone is carrying too much. It is time to rest. It is time to let go. It is time, Six of Baskets, to, I'm hearing, embrace the harvest you have. I'm getting this vision, right? Which, I need to stop adding a billion qualifiers. I'm channeling now, or at least trying to. I'm getting this vision, right, of someone who's sitting in an old farmhouse, and they're looking out at a field where there are berries that have yet to be picked, apples that are still in the trees. There is still harvest left to be harvested, right? And the person's looking through the window thinking, I should be out there. There's more food. We could eat good if I and the thing is, and then someone, their guide, their partner, whatever, is saying, you're injured. Like, yes, there's still more food that could be gleaned. Yes, there is more, food that can be harvested. And yet at this point in time, you are being asked to rest so that maybe, next year's harvest and the next year's harvest and the next year's harvest, you can then, gather the crops then, as opposed to pushing through. Excuse me, I'm getting congested. That's weird. I was not congested at all before starting this reading. Anywho, pushing through this one injury, and this might be your last harvest, as opposed to resting now so that the next harvest and the next harvest and the next harvest and the next harvest, you're at your best, is what I'm hearing. I'm also hearing I'm pretty sure this is somewhere in the Hebrew Bible where it talks about leaving food for other people to harvest. On the one hand, if you have people in your life who help you, who are working with you, they can bring some of the harvest in for you. But I'm hearing, even if it doesn't feel like it, you have enough produce to last the winter, is what I'm hearing. Even if it doesn't feel like it. Even if you look at your bank account and you're like, where's that harvest? Even if you're looking at your pantry and you're like, where's that harvest? Even if you're looking at, your gas mileage that's sitting on empty and you're like, where's that harvest? I hear that in some aspect of your life, there is abundance enough. Abundance enough to last you through the winter. And so that could be, someone, you could have an abundance of family and friends willing to help you. You could have an abundance of talent waiting to be expressed. You could have an abundance of spirit. You could have, your guides all around you, 2323 on the clock as I'm saying this, right? You could have an abundance of spiritual power. You could have an abundance of talent. You could have an abundance of intelligence, wisdom, creativity. Yes, I did just watch a video on like RPG style stats, right? You could have an abundance. Not you could have. You do have an abundance in some aspect of your life, and it is there that you are being asked to look. The person sitting, looking through the window saying, man, I could be getting more berries and apples and carrots and spinach and whatnot. It's like, yeah, but you've got an abundance of land. You're looking out over your land that you can't go access yet, but it's yours. You know what I mean? Similarly, you have a house. You have people caring for you while you're injured. You already have, you're good. And I don't say that 24/24. Well, I'm catching a lot of these numbers. I'm not saying that, to downplay what you're going through, because I don't know what you're going through. Straight up, I don't. And I don't pretend to know what you're going through, but I absolutely 100% know that you are equipped for whatever's coming next. whatever that may be. And again, that is not me saying that it won't be a difficult battle. That is not me saying, oh, everything's hunky dory, look on the bright side of it. I'm not bypassing anything. But I'm getting the strongest vibes that on some conscious or subconscious level, that it's going to be okay somehow. And if you don't know that, let me speak that over you, right? It's going to be okay somehow. Let me get some. Do I have water in? Yeah, I do. I still have some water. God, that's disgusting. No shade. It's a sparkling water, and I like to have. Little aside. I like to add electrolyte beverages to sparkling water to then create a sort of. I've got electrolyte issues, dysautonomia stuff, and so don't do it, baby. It's okay. I promise. Do you need to step out? You need to step out? Yeah, we have neighbors. They make noise. It happens. Oof. Um, I lost what I was talking about. I'm just gonna keep going. Okay. We've got the three of coins. This is not the traditional meaning of the three of coins, but I'm looking at this woman painting a picture of who I'm assuming to be her ancestor. And I'm just getting this strong sense of, again, going back to remembrance, remembering where you came from, remembering who you come from, remembering the strength. Speaking of strength, my puppy has a strong bark and she's about to get kicked out. Okay, let's take a step out. Out you go. Go take a break. Uh-oh. Go on. But no, what I'm hearing clear as day is like the strength of your ancestors runs through your veins. And this is not just your physical ancestor, this is also your spiritual ancestors. These are the people who came before you in every way, shape, and form. Every single person who paved the way, every single person who removed rocks out of your path, every single person who uh, cleared obstacles, both in the physical and the spiritual. Like, we stand on the shoulders of giants. One of my favorite lines from my book is, "I am because you are." Like, we are a collective. I've been sitting a lot recently with the idea that we are all one organism. Like, in the same way that, the largest tree in the world, you wouldn't actually know it was one tree. You would think it was a forest, but the entire thing is one tree. And I kind of feel like that's an analogy for humanity, right? Like, we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us, and those who came before us are still clearing out obstacles on the other side. I'm hearing clear as day this sense of, we're still doing the work, and we expect you to as well. But we expect you to remember. We ask you to remember. We pray that you remember that you are not alone in this. We've got the Five of Coins. There's definitely some sort of lack, perceived or otherwise. I'm definitely seeing that clear as day. I'm feeling that clear as day. But traditionally speaking, in the traditional Rider-Waite deck, with the Five of Pentacles, you see a couple walking past a church. And there's this sense that they could find shelter and security should they walk through the door. It is lack, it is longing, it is want, but it is also an acknowledgement that what you desire, not only what you want wants you, which is always a nice thing to remember, but what you want is close to you. And then we also have 7 of coins. So again, non-traditional reading, but I'm looking at all these coins cards. We had a lot of coins cards in the community post reading, but I'm seeing here we've got the 3 of coins, the 5 of coins, and the 7 of coins. I'm hearing in order to get that coin, you might have to take some steps that feel odd. 3, 5, 7 odd numbers. I'm hearing you might have to take some steps that feel a bit odd. You might have to step off the beaten path. You might have to journey, venture down roads you might not have thought were for you, but they are. Interestingly enough, as I'm recording this, it's 4:20 on the clock. I don't want to say anything that's gonna get me demonetized. But when I think about, unusual journeys that yield results, um, altered states of mind could possibly be a thing for some people, and I'm not even sure if I want to I'm not. I'm trying to figure out how to word this in a way because this is the part I might end up editing this part. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And this is not encouragement. This is not promoting. This is not any of that. I'm just thinking out loud that I know how much insight and wisdom has come through to me as a result of being in altered states. Not like the first time I actually observed it was from dancing. I danced myself into a bit of a frenzy and entered an alternate state of consciousness. No substances, no nothing like that, right? But I'm hearing fairly clearly that at the very least, if you're looking at a problem and you can't see a way through it, you can't see a way to navigate it, try looking at it from a different point of view, from an altered perspective. Um, I'm also hearing a little play of words in the altered perspective. Some of y'all need to either build an altar, that's something that I myself am looking into. Some of y'all either need to build an altar, or if you have one, revisit it. Like, maybe some of us need an altered state of perception, and maybe some of us need an altered state of perspective. You know what I mean? Anywho. Um, I know I'm definitely feeling led to move to the drag queen oracle. That said, something is telling me that one of these other decks is going to want to make another reappearance. And should that come about, I will. It's also 2 decks, so there are some affirmation cards and also some the actual drag queen oracle. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with these. Okay. So I'm laughing because this is still a newish deck to me. I got this in June at Winston-Salem Pride. And this is actually the very first card I pulled, which is Latrice Royale, 5G's Get a Grip Girl. Wait, hold on. Good God, Get a Grip Girl. I'm hearing a pretty clear message that whatever it is you're going through, and I very much feel like this message is also for me. But let's be honest, most messages I receive are for the collective. I just do a bad job of relaying them. Not a bad job. I'm not trying to. I let my mind get in the way sometimes of doing the thing I need to do. We're working on it, but I'm very much hearing the sense of whatever problem is ahead of you is not nearly as big as it feels. And I even want to rephrase that, not in just in the sense of it's not as big as it feels, but I heard clear as day, you would not be afraid of the thing in front of you if you knew who was behind you. You wouldn't be afraid of moving forward if you knew who was waiting for you. I don't know who needed to hear that, but I did. 3443, mirror that's something that both of us need. I'm feeling at least 2 more coming out of this deck. And I think I might need to revisit the Herbalist. Okay. That fell on the floor. I know for some people they say that means double. I don't know what it means for me, but it feels significant. Jinx Monsoon, water off a duck's back. I feel the anxiety. I feel the tension. I feel it in myself. I'm living it. But I'm hearing not just let it go, because I feel like letting it go has a connotation that really bothers me, like growing up in a Christian tradition and knowing how much gets swept under the rug under the guise of forgiveness. I don't think this is a message to let it go, like to forget it, to like forgive and forget, so to speak. I really feel like this is a message of let it flow. Like, sorry, I'm struggling to like ground this into words. It's like the painful memories, the things that happened to you, the things that people did to you. You don't have to let it go. You can let it stay in your general ecosystem, right? You can acknowledge the way that it's changed you and not be in a rush to sweep that under the rug. But you've got to let it flow. I'm seeing uh, 2 imageries. One is where it's a river, where it's dammed up, right? Where you've put a stop in it, where the flow of the river has been stopped. It cannot flow, right? And I'm thinking about how, like, downriver, a lot of things end up drying up. They don't get the nutrients they need. They don't get. And what I'm hearing is you can release the dam because it's going to stay in the river. I feel very much this fear of if I let go of this, it means that justice will never come. It means that I'll never get, the vindication, the apology, the, revenge arc. I'm not advocating for revenge, but like, there's this tension of like, if I let this go, it can't, I lose access to it. Like, I can't lose this thing that shaped me. And I'm hearing, you don't have to let it go, but you do have to let it flow. Feel it, embrace it, acknowledge it for what it is, but do not starve and dry up the other aspects of your life. Do not deprive your future of hydration and nourishment because you're afraid of what it'll look like to let it go. I cannot remember whose reading this was. If any of y'all know who I'm talking about, please feel free to credit them because this is not an original thought. But I heard someone say a lot of people think that when you say let it go, that means you have to throw it away. But you can like let it go. Where it's still in your vicinity, you can pick it back up if you need to, but you've let it go and your hands are open to receive what's coming your way. Like, absolutely, I understand the tension of not wanting to forget, not wanting to let things go. And I think, imagine what would it look like to let it flow? And that's going to mean different things for different people, and I don't want to like harp on that too much. But I think that's the distinction that needs to be made for someone, myself included. Don't just 428 on my clock. Don't just let it go, let it flow. And if it needs to circle back around to you, it will. But you don't have to have this tight death grip on it for fear that it won't come back. This is a visceral image and I apologize, but this made me think of like, if you want a bird, if you're afraid of a bird, there's a difference between being afraid that a bird will fly away and being worried that it won't come back to you, right? And so I'm hearing that the best state of affairs is not to clip its wings, is not to injure it in any way, but to build a relationship with it so that if it leaves, you can trust that it will come back to you. Let it flow. There's something in your life collective, something in our lives collective that needs to flow. and this is your invitation to let it. I feel at least one more card coming from these. I really like this Oracle deck. Didn't fly out, but that one did. Alright. I believe that's the last card for this deck for now. Pheromone, you actually don't love me. Ooh. What do you love in your life? Is I think the question. Pinpoint what you love, pinpoint what you don't, and have the courage to let go. I hear a lot of, let go of what no longer serves you, which then like kind of puts you in this mental position where you think that like you need to be served. That's always felt kind of weird. But like let go of what you no longer love. And like this could be a romantic thing, but I'm not getting that initially. I'm very much thinking like just in your life, as a feature of your life, what have you been holding on to because it's easy? What have you been holding on to because it feels like it would be harder to let it go? What don't you love anymore that you're holding on to because you think you do? Because, ooh, ow, throat hurting on that one. Big emotions. Anywho, um, when you let go of what you don't love, you create space for it to be loved by someone else. And also at the same time, I'm hearing for someone, it is imperative that you ask yourself whether or not you love yourself. Do you love yourself? And if you don't, what does it look like to do so? I'm gonna let my puppy back in because she's whining at the door. That could be significant for someone. You gonna behave this time, Miss Baby? I hope so. All right. I'm getting a little bit tired, a little bit dizzy. I haven't done a reading this long in a hot minute, and so what I'm going to do is, with my puppy at my feet, looking up at me like you very clearly want something. Does she very clearly want something? Does this baby very clearly want something? I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up with this final card, and then I think I'm gonna take this baby 432. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take her to the PARK. She don't know how to spell yet. I don't know why I said that. She's a dog. She don't know how to spell. Um, wow, that was quick. They said take that baby to the park. I ain't say that. Uh, drag affirmations. I am content in my current state. My eyebrows are sharper than a knife, and I am queen of the universe. And I am going to go ahead and leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. Um, please remember that you are wonderful and that the world is a better place because you're in it. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye.